Can I propose a hypothetical? If I were not somebody's man, would you have had a spark?
Strong possibility.
Hi, I'm Codie Elaine Oliver, and this is After Love, the official after show of Black Love. I am the co-creator with my husband of Black Love and also the director, and y'all have just watched the premiere of season 5, featuring these beautiful people, Charles, the Shady Bunch Kuykendoll, Charles and Shireen, Blair and Spencer, and I'm just excited to have you guys here.
Excited to be here. Let's do it.
So I heard someone mention that there was no spark as the theme.
All right.
It's the theme of the evening.
All right. Yes. Can we address this here? Because we have to clarify this week.
Okay, tonight.
What exactly did you mean by there was no spark?
So there were only about 4 Black people in the program, and a 50, and he was one of like 2 Black males, and I was like, I'm gonna assume it's you.
Was there like a spark?
There was no spark.
But it was clear.
There was no spark because I met you as someone's boyfriend.
Can I propose a hypothetical? If I were not somebody's man, would you have had a spark?
Strong possibility.
I'm with, like, our spark is up for review because we had history way before that spark happened.
Right.
So, like, in the show, we're talking about how, we woke up that morning and we were sort of together.
And like 8 years later.
To me, that constitutes the spark, like the first spark. Where she was like, nah, we friends from high school, like, there's no spark, we kind of rolled into it.
But but the like actual scenario is like when you first met, was there a spark? So like day one as a freshman in high school, I did not walk in like, where he at?
I don't believe that. Did you see this guy? Come on now.
I feel like you
The beard probably didn't look like this though.
The beard wasn't there. High glasses.
We are here with Beverly Hills High School All-American.
We are public.
Oh, you Spencer.
Wait, they just
take me now. Where's Scoop?
Right.
Oh no, we about to dig in this
This is a different show now. Okay, wait, let's rewind though. So you're right, public school, Beverly Hills High, in real life, for reals, not TV. Mm-hmm. You're saying you went to school and you weren't like, he all right, he nice.
I don't even like remember. He remembers like the moment in the hallway. I have no recollection of that.
I don't recall meeting him either.
There was build-up. There was build-up. I was playing on the same football team as her older brother.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that summer, everybody was like, yo, Alex's little sister's coming. She's cute, blah, blah, blah. So when I saw her, I was like, that's gotta be Alex's sister. And that's why I remember it, because there was like anticipation of her coming to the school. So I do remember the first time I saw her.
I have no recollection of like a conversation, like.
You all have to do
It was like second
you all have to
semester
do
probably.
better.
We're disrespectful.
We're in the same
It's
boat.
just the truth.
We're in the same exact boat, because I remember meeting her. We were walking down 42nd Street, me and my frat brother, and then we ran into her, and I was like, oh my God, she's an adult. So I like perked up, hey, hi, my name is Charles. And she's like, hey, hey, I was like, maybe she's not as old as I thought. But then, like, when I saw her in our like first formal interaction, after that was in passing, she just was like, oh, I never met you before. And I said, wow, like I know I met you.
I remember you
I know I met you.
I can clearly recall the first day of work. I remember meeting you then, but I do not.
In a professional capacity, as someone else's man.
Absolutely.
As someone else's
And
man.
that matters.
I'm okay with that.
And for me, what's important, right? Because we got to bring it back to Black love and why we do what we do. But what's important is like sometimes there just isn't a spark, Charles.
I'm gonna hold the cell.
It's okay.
I'm gonna hold the
That's
L.
okay.
It's okay. And here we are now.
Yes.
Because you never know where someone is. Like if Tommy was here, he would say there was no spark. I mean, that lasted all of like 12 hours. But, there are things that are going on in somebody's life, whether they're, basically a baby teenager, and they're like, I didn't see this boy, I don't know what you're talking about, or whether they're about their business. You don't always see it until something happens. And for each of you, there was an evolution, right? Even when you didn't have a girlfriend and you was like, can we go on a date? Shireen was like, nah. right?
Very problematic.
Oh, did you get curved?
I got curved crazy.
Oh God.
This is a curved table. Can we cut some of these angles off of these corners? Who's the two couples that got curved? Let's put them together.
That's important though. It happens.
It happened. Had we had a spark like day one, freshman year of high school, we wouldn't have made it because I was
That's
a
fair.
different person.
Yeah,
So,
likewise.
the Lord said.
But I think to Blair's point, we started off as friends, right? And you always say, like, I'm your best friend. And I think we've carried that best friendship into our marriage. We talk about everything. I don't know if there was a spark if we would have had that foundation as like friends, talking about life, talking about how we grew up, talking about parents. So I like that there was no spark immediately. The spark came when I realized we were so aligned on certain things, that I liked so many things about you.
Yeah, and I mean, to double down on that, because, you embarrass my national TV. The initial spark for me was obviously physical. Like, I think you're beautiful, but then, like, the real spark came when we started having those more in-depth conversations that really, like, showed me who you were inside of there.
But Charles is forgetting the fact that after he baited me into liking him,
That's a lot of strong language,
tried
right?
to curve me.
Oh.
Did that not make it?
I don't remember that. I won't even say what I remember, which was that your ex-girlfriend did move back in at some point.
Oh, in the house?
It was a lie.
Okay, but I did say
We had a messy beginning.
But when did you curb her?
So, after our relationship started to progress in the earlier stages, she started falling pretty hard. But, having progressed to, what was important physically, I was like, okay, the streets are calling. Trey Songz said the streets be calling me, and it was calling my name. And I was just like, okay, we're good, but, I still want to see what else is going on. Having been in a relationship for some time before that.
Right, that's fair.
And I said, so we're good. We'll be friends. Without benefits. We'll just be.
Which contributed to the foundation that you built.
Absolutely.
Okay, here's the real question at the end of the day. Would any of you have it any other way?
No.
No.
I think it happened how it was supposed to happen.
Absolutely.
Like she said, if we would have started dating in even early in college or high school or whatever, we would not be together today. Like, that's the truth of it.
I love it. Wow. And I honestly, as you know, Tommy and I have interviewed like over 200 couples. And y'all are two of the most like in love, giddy, cute, adorable. Like y'all got the like giddy and y'all got the like sweet, but you're both seriously just very obviously synced. Mm-hmm. And I think that does speak to the long trajectory of your dating life, right? Or your courting life. Mm-hmm. So, okay, give me, what is the biggest challenge to being married? Because I already know y'all love each other and y'all cute and everything. So like, give me like the real.
I think and I think anyone who's been married a long time, even a short time, your spouse knows you like no other, and they know which button to press to send you off.
Yeah. No, I don't do it, so I'm just curious. I'm just curious to know like how you know this, because I'm not capable of doing that. So.
You've never experienced that.
So I think that's the hard thing. Someone who knows you so well that even in an argument, it's like, okay, maybe you're a little right.
It's the truth that comes out, not the, like, he's not trying to hurt you.
Yeah,
like,
and I was like, okay, maybe that wasn't wrong. Maybe my assessment was wrong, and your assessment might be a little bit more right.
It's never completely off. Yeah. Because they're with you, especially the year that we've had. Mm-hmm. Like every single day, day in and day out, first person you see when you wake up, last person you see going to bed. If they're reading you, like chances are it's close to being on point. Mm-hmm. So you got to eat it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What would you all say, though, is the biggest challenge for each of you? It can be completely different as an individual.
The challenge is that we go for such long periods of time without an issue with it. We don't argue. We don't like any of those things. So once something happens, it can be very small, but it's like, because it's been so long since we've had to like sit down and talk about something, it's kind of like I've forgotten what the best way to communicate it might be because we haven't done it. And
she's like, we argue so little that I don't even know how to do it.
Yeah, I don't. He'll have like all these points and I'm like, okay, I have to like think about, I don't come ready with like, I'm not a lawyer, so.
I remember, and for me, and this is something that we've actually talked about recently, where it comes to like anything that I'm doing, I'm doing it because of us, because of the family, because of just the household, somehow, some way moving it forward. So at times, you know, when I say me, in my head, me means us. But sometimes when she hears it, she hears me and only me, which kind of like cuts her out of appreciation or just accolades or anything like that. So it was just fundamentally understanding that, like, my understanding and her understanding of the me and the us are different, and just like realigning that to like prop her up at times.
And what we bring to it, right? Like, I know you mentioned that, you know, part of your issue with even trying to decide to be together and to get married was like, you know, daddy issues. And so when I hear what Spencer says, it's like, you may not have like, you hear him say me and you assuming that he just means me, right? I've never had a man think about me like that, so I'm not even realizing.
Codie, we are breaking open like,
I mean,
We're gonna
oh yeah.
Just trying out.
That is true. I have
My
never
therapy
seen
certification.
I've never seen a me or a we in my entire life. No one I grew up around was married. So my mom said me, my mom was handling it.
Yeah.
Oh, look at us.
I mean, so like the movie Malcolm and Marie came out, and I'm excited to watch it. You know, we sit down, we made a night out of it, went downstairs, big screen, everything. And the premise is, you know, guy comes home, forgets to thank his girlfriend at an award show. And I'm like, I've done that before.
Really?
I done that. I did that on like with the premiere of All American. I'm on stage thanking the showrunner, thanking producers and everything. But my understanding, like my DNA is like, we just did this great thing. So like that was like one of the main moments of like, she didn't feel seen in that moment. So it's just me understanding that like sometimes you have to separate the us to know that like I'm still Spencer and she's still Blair, and finding ways to like prop her up in that sense. But I was sitting tight during that whole movie. Like, I made
just fall asleep. You could have just fell asleep. 30, 45 minutes.
I tried to go to sleep. I tried.
Let me stop this.
I have to say two things. One, I didn't finish the movie. I don't know how it ends. I did see the first
It's just
half.
a lot of arguing.
Yeah. But two, like, frankly, like, knowing from the outside, like, how much you care for her, that's why that was shocking to me. But shocking from the standpoint of you then illuminated me to the notion that, like, you can love her as passionately as you do and not say that because that's how ingrained in you that it was like, I'm speaking for us. I'm talking about us. We're thanking all of these people.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Didn't feel that way when I stepped off the stage though, so.
I think something we learned this year was that words matter.
Yeah.
And I think when you're with someone for so long, you like forget that words matter, and you forget that like you have to actively tell your spouse that you appreciate them and you love them. And I think being in a year of quarantine where it's like we weren't even getting dressed some days, like
Weeks.
I was like, some days. It was like, we get dressed some days.
Zoom hoodies. Like, which hoodie am I wearing today?
I'm surprised you all got dressed today.
So I think like we learned that you need to tell your spouse like I care about you, thank you for, and just thank them for the small things. It matters so much in helping in the shuffle of life. That appreciation sometimes gets lost, and you don't know what your partner needs to hear. Like we spoke one day and he said something and I just started crying and he was like, you just needed me to tell you I loved you, and it would set off this chain reaction, and I was like, I just haven't heard it in so long.
Yeah, but I'm like, you know it. Like, I wake up every day fully dedicated to making our lives, your life, our son's life better. So it's like, you see me stressed every day for the sole purpose of, you know, showing my love or, you know, providing and making sure that we're good. So it's just like, maybe I don't verbally be like, hey, babe, you look beautiful. I love you. She don't look like a joint right now. Let me be clear. But I'm like, in my mind, I was like, you know this. Like, and so when you broke down on that, I was like, dang it, like, I can do better. Like, that's
not my love language. You were loving me in your love language, so I wasn't appreciating it. So while you're thinking like, I'm getting out here, I'm getting it, I'm like, he hasn't even said he loved me.
Yeah. I get that though. I absolutely get that because I'm assuming how we move, it's like, it's just known that anything we do is for the love of the family, pushing the family forward. Like, she knows love is there, but every now and then you gotta say it. You gotta grab her, hey, like, this is what it is. So
But I hear a lot of men say that, right? Like, and I think too, there's things that are inherent to men and women and or just people, but whatever. The point is that there are things that are unsaid. There are assumptions that we make that the other person knows. Like you're saying, like, everything I do is for you and for us, and that's just what it is, and you just know that. If I say I'm gonna go get it, that means I'm gonna go get it for us. And okay, I'm not trying to generalize. I'm really trying not to, but because I relate to what you all are saying and I hear what the two of you are saying, often the other partner doesn't understand that assumption that you've made and vice versa, right? Mm-hmm. So I just think that's really valuable to point out that, both of you actually just said that same thing. Yeah. But you haven't told us, what's the biggest challenge?
I was hoping we were going to come. I mean, honestly, in this quarantine year, coming out of that, like I would say now we're approaching 5 years in marriage. The biggest challenge is like not trying to hurt her feelings. And what I mean by that is as I'm growing and developing as a man, we met at 20, I was 22. She was older, cougar style. And
are we talking like 23 or
she's about 23, 24.
Yes, we're talking 13 months older.
Okay, got it.
Be it as it may, like this word forever, right? And when I stood at the altar under God, did all those things, it was like, okay, we're really doing this forever. But I was not cognizant of like the changes that were gonna happen to me and how that could affect us and how that can affect you. And it's like, hey, like, okay, I've now been in a relationship 8, 9 years, and it's pretty women now. I'm more quote unquote popping or popular than I ever thought I would be. And there's people that's like, one nigga, whatever. And I'm just like, I like that attention. I know that hurts you. Like, I don't want to hurt you, but you're still like my homie. I want to be able to say, yo, like, why are you being mean? Because there's women, I can go get, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I don't want to hurt you. I want to be able to have difficult conversations with you, but I don't want to hurt your feelings. Being like, hey, at 33, like, whoa, I didn't expect like some, young woman to, oh, you're attractive, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know that. I figured I only have eyes for you for the rest of my life. And I'm like, the reality is like, those are things that you're gonna have to work through on this journey together. Yeah. But it's like, those challenges are not ones that we can't overcome if we communicate, if we're transparent about it. But it's like, I don't want to like hurt you in anything. And I was just like one scenario, but like me wanting to push and continue to like do and it's like not being okay. Like, for an example, we bought a house, a year and a half ago? And the next year I'm like, hey, I think we should buy a bigger house. And she's like, bro, relax. Like, you can't just be happy with this. And I'm just like, no, can we align on my plan? I'm sorry, here I go with the mind, right? Can you align on our plan?
Your plan for your family, even if it's undiscussed. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, so, I don't want to hurt you, like not, make you feel less important or like, I don't know. It's just like, forever is a long time. That's a song that I really, really like. And just like, on that journey, I'm really just trying to just make sure that as I grow and change, it's not putting you in a situation where you feel thankless or that I'm not, making sure you feel valued or important as I go through the shifts in myself.
So what's the solution, or what does it look like to work through that?
Well, we actually have to bring in outside help because I just didn't know. I didn't know what to do. I was just like, whoa, this is new. We started seeing, what's the technical term for it?
A therapist?
Oh, no, I don't want to be like a marriage counselor, like counselor, therapist. We started to have like somebody just kind of mediate those thoughts because it was like, she's from the Bronx, New York. She has a way about her. You know what I mean? She has a personality.
You're from
I have
Chicago.
a big personality. No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying we're equally big personalities. Was like, okay, this is just not gonna work because I'm approaching it wrong. I think that you're not receiving what I'm trying to say. It's like, it's not that I don't love you. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I don't know what's happening with me. And then again, through those conversations, we were able to really just get back to the core, which is like, hey, you're not filling my cup up the right way. I'm not filling your cup up the right way. And it wasn't like at the point that I was ready to like cheat tomorrow. It was just like, hey, if we continue down this path, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be able to do this, right? So having that stopgap in 2020, us being together every day, working together from home, 2 different rooms, going back to the same room, never putting on no clothes, never changed, CJ coming in. It was just like 2020 was a wild time. We had that stopgap moment to really be able to like recenter ourselves. Like, oh, yeah, all this other stuff isn't as important. So when we built this house far in the suburbs, it's like, oh, whoa, Charles, you're gonna be away from the mix. It's like, honestly, I realize now what's really important to me. And it's not the mix, it's being at home. You know what I'm saying? And so those are the type of things that, we were able to get through having gone through a true challenging time last year.
Yeah. And that was my next question, really, with the pandemic, right, of 2020 and beyond, sort of how that has stretched each of you. And so you touched on it. You might have a different opinion, but I'd love to know, because the other thing is that all of you guys kind of like have a million jobs. Like you're all entrepreneurs.
Hustle, baby. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Like, in addition to 2 full-time jobs over here, y'all work together, y'all work separately, y'all doing a lot. So how do you manage all of that stuff and the uncertainty, both as far as finances and health that we all experienced the last year, and parenting? Child, I still don't know what to do with a vaccination and my baby. I don't know anyway. How has that stretched you and changed your dynamic, helped or hurt?
I think we made it a solid 11 months. And then we were cool.
Yeah,
We could do
straight.
this pandemic thing. And then month 11, I think you kind of started going through your
I told
journey.
you straight up, I'm cracking right now.
Yeah. And which, cool. I'm fill in those gaps. And then I think but come February, I kind of started a whole other journey. And so very recently we realized hey, things are getting weird. We need to talk about it. So I said, we've gone through this long periods of not having something to talk about. So it was kind of very recently okay, wait a minute. We actually need to stop. We need to come back.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening?
Did it
figure
show
out
up as arguing? Did it show up as distance?
Distance, for sure.
Distance under the preset, we spoke about, of, you kind of get in the groove of dealing with the kids, dealing with the house. You wake up, it's breakfast, it's this. Everything's sort of regimented. And we've always had our requirements where it comes to she knows, once we're out of COVID, I go to the movies 3-4 times a week. I'm just that person. Whereas I know she wants to hang out with her friends once or twice a week. We get that. We allot time for each other to have that. Yo, I got the kids. You go. Don't feel like you need to text me every hour. Stay out as long as you need, because I know my turn is coming whenever. So in COVID, there are times where I'm yo, I think I need to just get out of here for 2 days. Be safe. Go to get an Airbnb or just get a hotel. Just go and not be in this mix. And we've both done it, with friends and solo and whatnot. But we realized a lot of those problem solvers that we had out of COVID weren't working at this point. So we broached the conversation of therapy both separately and together. But just understanding that this is something we've never seen before. And hopefully we'll never see again. So it's allowing for some percentage to be allotted towards this is just a crazy time, but also realizing the fact that our relationship is built on a friendship that dates back to 03, 02, before we even thought we were anything. A lot of our relationship, we kind of blew past getting to know each other in that we're dating phase. So, you want to be the best person for that other person and show and be open and honest. I already knew a lot of stuff about her. So I was oh, I know her now. I've already known her. Now we're in a marriage, now kids and whatnot, we're good. But just in this period, you realize that there's so much stuff that has been lying under the surface for both of us that we realized we didn't, disclose to each other.
But that's also why, I wouldn't change our journey because, I met him freshman year, of high school, and then we didn't start talking every day until senior year of college. So I've seen him grow and change as a person, and I know how he's handled those things outside of me with family, with friends, with sports, with work, whatever. So then now in this new phase of all these new changes, I know he is someone I know can handle these things, but we just have to, figure them out together.
Yeah.
To Spencer's point, I think COVID you just kind of paused, right? So there were no distractions and there was no time to say oh, that annoyed me, but I'm gonna go do this thing and then I won't think about it anymore. It was just we kind of got to sit in it. And I think to Charles's point, it was we started talking and we started having real uncomfortable conversations. But because he's my friend, I wanted to have the uncomfortable conversation because I was I told him once, I was I think what would hurt my feelings the most is if we broke up is that I would lose my friend. Yeah. Not yes, I love you as a partner, but I'm you're literally my best friend. I would be so sad if I couldn't talk to you. So we said one day, we were just let's get a therapist. Let's get someone to help us. And I think it's super important. We get so much help in every aspect of our life, right? You want a job, you talk to someone who has a job that you already have. You get a mentor. You need help with your resume, you pay for a service. Like,
Preaching right now, bro.
why don't we get help? If something's wrong with our kids, we're at the doctor, right? We're researching the specialist. Why don't we get help in the most important, longest standing job we'll ever have in our life?
Right.
Like,
It's not gonna hurt.
yeah.
Right.
And to me, like, I love our therapist. She's great, but like, she breaks things down to us in a way where we're like, I don't even think about that way. And she also forces us to stop because like, she'll be like, Charles, you're reacting. Listen to what she's saying. And she really forces us to like, just stop and listen to each other. And it's like, okay, I understand what you're saying. Like, I get it. I don't have to argue with you. I don't have to combat it. Like, cool, I hear you. And yeah, and I think it's been super helpful for us. So like, I wouldn't change COVID. I wouldn't change anything. Like, we're here because of all the little bumps in the road that got us here. It's like, how do you overcome the bumps? Because they're gonna come, right? Like,
And COVID kind of got us Zoom therapy. Because I don't know about y'all, but that's where I see my therapist.
Yeah, I'm also home. Yeah.
I'm grateful for the convenience. You know? Okay, guys. Well, I appreciate y'all coming up here to talk on After Love.
Yeah.
And of course, for being on Black Love It All and just sharing your transparency and vulnerability. So to many, many, many more years.
Yes.
Cheers. Love it.
For those at home watching After Love, that means you already have the Black Love Plus app. If you don't, and you're at your homie's house, go ahead and download it. It's free. And follow us on our socials and all of them too. Okay?